And welcome back to another edition of the Best Three Podcast. And this is the edition of the Best Three Podcast somewhere in the middle of Roland Garros, before the quarterfinals, but after a bunch of matches have already happened. But TH, how you doing tonight, man?
I'm good, brother. I'm good. I'm happy to hear about you getting on the court and looking forward to giving you a little checkup in the next 3 to 5 to 7 days to kind of check on you and see how your game's doing.
My game needs some help. I PSA to all the tennis players out there. You need to mix up your practice partners. You need to mix up your practice routine. I've been hitting with the same player or same player type, if you will, and got out there with a pretty good hitter tonight, and it was like I had 2 right feet and 4 left hands. It was bad. Had a tough time finding the ball until about the back 15 minutes of the hit, and it was a little too late. But you know, we live to hit another ball on another day. Hopefully, yeah.
I look forward to seeing you on the courts. I would definitely say that's one of the biggest one of the most subtle killers of a player is to play the same type of player a lot, or the same style. I would even also add to that, speaking of the French Open, little segue, when you play on the same type of surface all the time, you know what I mean? When you don't mix up a little bit to play on the clay, you don't mix it up a little bit and go indoors from time to time, you know, your game gets very, very one track, you know what I mean? And it's tough on the game, tough on the timing. I'll be honest. I know you're the player, you're a practice partner, and you know, I know him well. And,
he doesn't give you a lot of reps to begin with. Let's put it that way.
He doesn't give you reps in general. He is the most opportunistic step-up player I've seen. I mean, that Atlanta's seen in a long time. And trust me, and me knowing Travis the way I do, it's Travis's hit, and you might be trying to get a groove. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'll just your secret's safe with me, Travis. What up, man?
He listens to the podcast, so it's the secret. The secret is now out. We kind of this will be a nice little segue here. Want to talk a little bit about some of the upcoming matches as we roll into the quarterfinals. So tonight is it's Tuesday night. Is this Tuesday night? It's Tuesday night.
Monday.
Quarterfinals kickoff. It's Monday. Yeah, you're right. It is Monday. Quarterfinals tomorrow. Sabalenka versus Zhang Qinwen. And Sabalenka had a very interesting match against Amanda Anisimova, talking about slappers who aren't going to give you a groove. Amanda, I was watching that match, Anisimova versus Sabalenka, and I was like, and Amanda Anisimova goes line during shooter, like early.
Oh, that's her game.
She's gonna pull line first every single time. Every time.
You know what I mean? And do pretty well with it. I mean, if it was anybody but Sabalenka, I thought she might have succeeded. You know what I mean? It was
that's a really interesting matchup, because there are some types of players that kind of we talk about player profiles and prototypes a lot here, and one type of player that tends to not necessarily give Sabalenka trouble, but is going to give her more trouble than others are generally players built like her. Like tall, big hitters. They kind of neutralize what she tries to do. So Amanda Anisimova is like a Madison Keys type player, right? When Sabalenka wants to hit that big kick serve, Amanda has fantastic hands on both sides, right? Can see the ball early and redirect pretty easily. And she'll pull line early. She will force Sabalenka to do a lot of different types of things, which she's gotten so much better at and was able to
go back line, off a line,
slice,
100%, which I thought she showed some things today, and she's been showing me that different ways for her to win. The old arena would have just tried to out pummel, and that would have been a mistake for her today, because I really thought Amanda, I guess it was a day ago, Amanda did a great job of countering. If you went into that match saying, this is my game plan, she did.
Yep.
She wasn't ready for Arena's adjustments. At the same time, played her as close as anybody. Thought she did a great job. Maybe could have served a little better in the second set, but in general, had her. It was you're going up right there 5-all in the first. She was right there.
Yeah.
She was right there every step of the way. Thought she did great. Really looking forward to her. Getting more, obviously staying healthy, getting more looks at players like
Yeah.
that deep in the tournament. She needs to face the Igas. She needs to face the Coco. She needs to face the Madisons, the Arenas deep in tournaments to really see what she can actually do. We're just now, in my opinion, we're seeing the genesis, so to speak, the phoenix of Amanda Anisimova again, and I'm really looking forward to it. I've been a fan of hers for a long time. Looking forward to it. What about the knockdown drag out that your girl Zhang had with Samsonova?
Ludmilla, yeah. That was I didn't get to see a lot of that match because it was happening at the same time, I think, as maybe Iga was playing against Rebacchina.
Against Rebacchina,
yeah, and I was pretty invested in that match. But
sure.
Ludmilla is
Obviously.
she's crafty and she can
Yep.
do it all. But she's one of those players when it comes to execution time, she lacks the belief in her weapons to finish things off. And the same thing came up.
You said it right there, in the weapons. I mean, she doesn't have a ton of weapons
Right.
to speak of, but has no holes, right? And very, she said, crafty and did a whole lot. I was just curious what your thoughts were. Well, that kind of player seems to hurt Quinn Win, you know what I mean, a little bit. And I just didn't know, what your thoughts were as far as, going 3. Does that match, that especially the 6-1 second set, does that bode poorly for Queen Win going up against Arena tomorrow? You know what I mean?
Not on 2 days rest. I think she'll be fine. The interesting part is
not on the volume. I mean, in terms of, did it show you more chinks in the armor? We're still early in the second week. I'm saying, did it cause you any concern to see her not dismiss a Samsonova?
No. Because I saw Samsonova play against Rebacchina in the finals of Strasbourg right before Roland Garros, and very, very similar. I can't remember if it was the first set that went into a tiebreaker or it was the second set, but very similar situation where Ludmilla had chances and then just couldn't finish when she had opportunities.
No, I would. That's when I look at her game. That's what I say. Her craftiness, her hands. She gets the opportunity. She almost backdoors into the opportunity she wants.
Yeah.
And then at that point, she needs an Anisimova backhand line, or she needs a smack forehand line just to finish the deal. And at that point, it just seemed like that's where the craftiness kind of meets the ceiling a little. It's what it seems like.
Well, no go-to. There's no go-to. Right. When the chips are down, it's like, she's serving 40-30 at 6-5. What is she going to? She's going to move it around and maybe hope for you to miss because she doesn't have that pedal to the metal. So I'm not concerned because I saw her play that final against Rebacchina, another big hitter. So I knew that she could hang with Zhang. That didn't surprise me much. Not too much. What do you okay, so we talked about this because Queen Win and Arena played in Rome. They played in Rome.
Yep.
Was it Rome? It was Rome.
Talking about Queen Win and
Sabalenka. Yeah, they played in Rome.
In the defeat match that we thought may or may not have been check my watch. I got 4 days. If I take the L here, I got a great break going into the French. Yeah, that match.
So yes, exactly. So I think Arena was 7-0 against Queen Win before that match. Loses that match. Loses that match. And so we talked a little bit about false confidence. Did that allow Zhang some I can do it, I did it, versus does Arena view that any differently if they were to match up again? So fast forward 2 weeks, they're matching up again. I feel like Arena's gonna she's gonna bring out the big guns. I feel like she's gonna bring out the big guns. Now Zhang Chen does have a lot of really good memories and experience on this court from having won the Olympics last summer.
Yep.
Right? So she won 5 matches there. She's won 5 matches, 4 matches this week. She ain't lost there in a while.
Yep.
So how do we feel about that match? Competitive, or are we falling back in order here?
Falling back in order. Order will be restored.
Okay.
I also feel like the only concern I have for Arena is to not take it too personal. and not overplay.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
And I think I will say about the match. I won't say much else. Quinn Win is a great player. I think at a high level, a lot like Samsonova, you're talking about with her different type of game. The go-to weapons to finish have always been in question in big matches like this.
Sure.
Can she finish off? In my opinion, I would have. She employed a different mental strategy than I would have.
Mm-hmm.
Beating Arena, she chose to kind of put it in Arena's face a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's the right move. I would have been, oh, you know what? Arena wasn't on her game. You know, I look forward to playing her again. You know what I mean? Hey, happy to get the win. You know, I'm not sure if this was the best Arena today.
Yep.
You know,
yep.
but I'll take it. She put this too much respect. Had it for the last 7 times. I showed her today. Blah blah blah. Next time I play her, blah blah. Okay. And I really felt like she might have been better served just kind of letting a sleeping dog lie, you know, as the old expression goes. But we'll see. You know, I think there's more of an issue of Zhang has belief now that she can win, and obviously you mentioned on the clay, which is, you know, she certainly hasn't done poorly. I'm not sure that she is the favorite in anyone's book. Maybe only in her own mind if she's drinking her own Kool-Aid from that last match. Rome.
Okay,
that's
all right, fair. I think we feel about the same way.
Right.
Yeah. So let's move on to Svitolina versus Iga. We're gonna say
all I can say, and I want you to give me your side. The two matches I want to hear you about the most was the Svitolina match and the Rebacchina match, because part of me is like, you know, well, Svitolina first. Is she taking some of Gail's cues?
Well, she's, you know, Svitolina post child has come back and kind of recreated herself as a tennis player, right? She was a true counter puncher prior to, I think she, you know, cracking the top 10, every 10 to 15. She had a child, took some time off, came back, and like is now she looks to attack, right? Backhand can be picked on a little bit, and I think, you know, if Jasmine kind of ran out of gas against her. So. Yeah, that was a really high quality match.
But her backhand on the run is actually pretty good, and that's what's funny about it is her normal backhand isn't, in my opinion, big enough or deep enough or penetrating enough. But when she gets that first ball on the move, she can actually, to your point about being counter punishing a little bit, she can defend well with the backhand on the first one.
Right.
After that, it tends to, you know.
Yeah, it gets shorter, finds the net generally.
Right.
Yeah.
But Paolini, if she's not going forward on it, I wouldn't say that her step up backhand is that big either. It's good. It's just, as you know, as others have said, she's a little bit challenged in some areas, especially in terms of levers and height, right? So at some point, if she doesn't get that lean in, that 3 or 4 step in on the backhand, you know, I don't. That's what, to me, this match came down to, was on the backhand side, and I felt like Svitolina's ball was just heavy enough, just deep enough that she, Jasmine, could not get on the rise transfer the momentum she needed to get the ball to have a little more is what I said.
So do you think that we're talking about, like, you know, I mean, Jasmine was up a set and 4-1 right before things started getting a little squirrely and the wheels came off, right?
Yep.
So do you look to that point and go, okay, because for her to beat someone like Svitolina, who's not going to make a lot of mistakes, right, is going to run down a lot of balls, very, very similar to Jasmine, forces Jasmine to play a lot of offense. Do you think that Jasmine and she definitely hit the wall at some point late in that second set, that was a reflection of maybe just too much volume? Because she plays singles and doubles, right?
Singles and doubles.
She
did win. She just won Rome.
Yep,
right?
Singles and doubles.
So singles and doubles.
Yeah, so that's a full schedule. And then does the same thing in the Grand Slam. Like, is that something that, as she starts to, you know, we're in a full year now of being in Paolini world. Yeah. Does she, like Coco, like Pegula, you know, step away from the doubles? I mean, even Arena used to play doubles with Elise Mertens, and then, like, when she started getting, you know, cracking the top 10, it's like, okay, I need to focus. Is this something that she steps away from?
I would hate for her to do that. I think she gets a lot of her returns and serves from that. If there's one part of her game that's improved to me, it's her
Sure.
serve. In particular, her second serve. Her returns are always pretty good. I would hate to see, you heard it right here. I thought Coco's serve went down after stopped playing as much double.
It's hard to
Let's be
argue.
very
Yeah.
honest. So, in my opinion, I would hate for her to make that move. I will say the volume clearly affected her. You could see she literally hit a wall there after that breaker in the second. She hit a wall. But how are you not going to play Rome when you're Italian?
Yeah,
so,
yeah. I mean,
the timing of it, no doubt. It's not her fault that she won. I personally feel like this was just a match where she played a girl that plays in some ways a lot like her. Not a lot of huge weapons, tough grinding points. I didn't think she played poorly until she lost that second set in the breaker. I didn't think she was in trouble.
Yeah, and they both played well. Like that's the thing. They both played well, and she was in control of the match, and they were both playing well.
Right. The wheels came off. It literally, I want to see how quick did she go down in the third? I mean, was
6-1, 6-2. It was in I think
it was 6-1, but I mean, went down fast. It went fast.
Yeah. She didn't have much left in the tank. But I don't want this to be so obviously that you're going to start to see some fluctuations in ranking as points to defend. Yeah. Right, she back-to-back Grand Slam final last year, so anything less than that will start to affect that
For
ranking.
Sure.
Whatever. Yeah. I still think she's a top 10 player, Jasmine Paolini.
Sure.
And so I still look for very positive things for her moving forward. I'm excited.
100%. Perhaps not 4 in the world. I think
we
appreciate that point together. A very solid 8 and a dangerous 6. But I'm not sure if she's the 4th, given the situation of being what it is. And so perhaps that's a little bit of, correcting right there, in the situation of what it is and what it is.
Yeah, so, that's fine. And that's fine. We're lucky as tennis fans to have so many high quality players on the women's side. God. In the top 10, like juxtaposed to the men's side, where you feel like it's those two and the rest of them. The women's side, it feels like it is like maybe at points it is Arena, but Arena can be challenged, and then let's call it 1.5 through 12 is any given day,
100%.
So that's fun. Speaking of which, Iga versus Rebacchina.
Yes.
Let me get your take on it. I want to hear your position on this match, because I watched this one and I really enjoyed.
Iga played the best I've seen her play in probably in 2 years, and has been playing better ever since. 2 people, and I don't want to dip into the men's tank too quick yet. I thought she played as well as Sinner played today, or whatever the match was, in this match. You could just see the old Iga come back. It was refreshing to see. I was happy for her. It seemed like every match she's played so far this tournament has built her confidence back in herself. She needed this match.
Yeah.
I'm going to also say all of the pros, and they do this thing where a player that wins a Grand Slam, they all join the Grand Slam club, where they're never going to talk about that player because they've won a slam. They're never going to diss or say something negative about this player. Sure. But let's be very honest. Iga was playing some bad tennis.
Coming into the event. Yeah.
She has played better every match since. And Alvin, I'm here to tell you, the girl played herself back in the winning form today, and that was a big match for her against Rebacchina.
Yeah, and not only did she play herself back into winning form, right? It was just that. Like, she got rocked in that first set. Like, Elena could not take a step.
6-1?
6-1. She was up.
Going away.
Yeah, she was up a break, I think, in the second set as well. And then, but you could see Iga slowly getting herself settled, getting herself back into the match, finding
didn't rattle.
Didn't get rattled. You thought she would have, all things considered, the way things have played out for her in the last 6 months. I'll say last 3 months. You would have thought that she would have started to be a little more demonstrative, a little more pissy, if you will, because she gets pissy at times. But she stayed there. And she found, I was doing a little bit of reading. He started to pick up some notes post match, and that's one of the things that her and Wim Fissette have really been focusing on, like getting back to kind of being able to lock down and not always feel like you need to dictate and dominate with the forehand, because we're not there anymore, right? For whatever reason, she can't do that anymore. So she's an extremely good mover, especially on clay, especially going to the backhand. And I felt like there were points in that in the third set where he didn't know where it was going to go. Like 4-all.
I was going to say, I almost thought Rebacchina moved her too much. I thought Rebacchina almost should have played more straight
up the middle,
across forehand side or up the middle, and made Iga beat her, and kind of got more to her counter-punishing ways, I should say. And I felt like by moving her so much, you almost put, there's that old fable, Briar Rabbit in the Briar Patch. You almost let Iga get back on the move.
Right, yeah.
And she's really comfortable. It almost hit her back in her game. I also feel like a little bit of this, Alvin, talking to the mental side of the game, Rebacchina won that first set so easily, so convincingly, that I felt like she tried to shift gears and just put it on her. And the bigger she hit and the more she went for shots, I felt like Iga actually responded and actually preferred that.
Yeah, it was interesting. Like, you start to see someone like Rebacchina, who, when she's serving well, right, she's a tough hang. Like, she's a really, really tough hang. And obviously, if she's serving well, it allows her to dictate with that forehand, which she can't dictate with, but when you move her around, like, she doesn't defend on that side all that well. So what I started to see, as soon as her serve percentage dropped a little bit, Iga was able to get her claws into the match. And I started to see, like, Rebecca hasn't played a ton prior to Strasbourg, right? Like, you started to see the fatigue set in. You started to see her get behind in rallies from a positioning standpoint. And at a certain point, it's like 4-all in the third set. Like, Iga just didn't miss another ball. She's like, I'm not gonna miss. I'm done missing. And she really elevated.
If you want to take it from me, take it from me. But I'm not.
And I'm not dropping my ball quality either.
Hard middle, a lot of hard middle shots. And if anything, started really. I saw Carlos do that a little bit against Novak in the Wemby last year. Okay. Just went bigger and harder up the middle. Like, beat me with that ball.
Right.
Beat me with that ball. And I dare you to beat me with that ball.
And then
and Rebacchina, who's like, that's what I was saying about. I felt like she had moved her so much and got burned by it that she almost laid up, like, okay, let me just give you one more roll on that side and see if you miss it. No, she wasn't gonna miss that ball.
So,
and it was really good to see.
So let me ask you this then: do you have Iga as the favorite to win the title now?
No,
still no.
Still Arena, but it gave me better hopes, better feeling about her game being back where it needs to be.
Okay, but if it's back where it needs to be, why does she not win this tournament that she's won 4 times?
Because Arena is playing that well right now. That's my take.
Huh. Interesting.
Period.
Interesting.
Period. With the T.
Period. Okay. All right.
That's me.
Okay, that's fine.
You know what I mean?
Let's. I wanna. Okay, so we have.
Don't bring up. Just don't bring up.
Oh no, we're gonna talk about that right now. We're gonna do that now. No, we're gonna do that now. We're gonna do that now. Mira Andreeva is playing against Jessica. No, wait, she's not. She's playing against a wild card ranked like 1,300 in the world. Who is French? Yep, she's French. She is. Yeah. The one time I back JPEG got me out here looking like a chump. Now, let me say something about Boisson. There is something to be said about safe, repeatable ground strokes. Boisson hits a very heavy forehand. And she ain't gonna miss it. No. She's not gonna miss it. And it's a different type of ball to deal with, right? Yep. Case in point, I dealt with that shit tonight, right? It forces you to really be consistent with your forward and backward movement. Like, it's one of those type of situations to catch balls in the slot. And then it almost forces you to start play that kind of same game style, which the women don't do that. No one hits the ball like that. Nobody.
Agree.
So once that match got kind of notched in, and she's French, right? That was
and the French got behind her. I thought that was more of a deal more than it was. And I'm not saying Jessica wasn't used to that. I will say there was a French player years ago, Alvin, named Sandrine Testu. I don't know if you remember
no,
Sandrine
never heard
Testu.
of this player in my life.
Good player, heavy forehand, a lot like Luis or Boisson, but played a lot like her, was much better. I think Testu got to was probably a 10 through 20 player back in the day. Good player, by the way. Reminded me heavy forehand, played a little more, I'm going to say the word tomboyish for lack of a better term. Heavy ball, like slice occasionally. And I thought that's what Bosson did. I just felt like she had the match of her life tonight against in the French moment. And I honestly just think it was more about Bosson answering the moment than it was JPEG. JPEG, Jessica decide, and what I saw, Jessica just kind of played it safe a little bit to think that Boisson would miss.
Sure.
And which is the smart thing to do. Smart money would say do the same thing. The girl's gonna fold. She's whatever, $180 in the world. Come on.
No, she's 370 something in the world. Don't give her.
Thank you,
we won't see her at Wimbledon. You might never see her again.
And to be honest, I really feel like at some point, and I feel like all of our American players do this to some degree, there's this belief of they're treating right now, they will cool off. And not this, let me change tack in case they don't. And I feel like that's just that's just something that I'd love to see change. But I kind of feel like it's a culture thing. I hate to say that to that point. Is this just this? I saw it against, I'm going to bring this up, Mensik and Fritz. Same thing. I just felt like Fritz stayed the course. This guy's he's gonna break down any minute now. He can't keep this up. Mensik did keep it up. Mensik kept it up against Novak.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to get off topic, but I just feel that that's what happened.
Interesting. Okay.
I don't think Bosson's gonna play that again ever again. I'm gonna put that out there.
Here's the thing. I find that her game style is very repeatable. Like, I feel like she's been playing the same way.
Oh, repeatable.
Yeah, she's just run.
But catching lightning like that against a player who wasn't playing that great and on the clay is clearly not Jessica's best service. I'm just saying.
Okay, so you're saying that, okay, what is Mira Andreeva going to do differently that Jessica was not able to do?
Beat Mira Andreeva. Work that backhand line return like she always does, and put you in the death corner like she always does. Rip the forehand hard cross angle, bringing you back to the unrise backhand, and he'll take you wide or take your line. I think Jessica's ball striking is very good from a certain height and a certain part of the court. Mira, if you would go a little wider on both wings, she can do it that much better, that much wider. That's my opinion. Mira might be the most mobile. Mira is the closest thing to a polished Rebacchina that I've seen. And I think Rebacchina has in my opinion, the complete smiley face of the outside alley to alley, can smack it wherever I want to on a given day.
Okay.
And Mira does it even better on the return, in my opinion.
Okay.
That's what I think she'll do. I think Jessica played safe. I think Jessica played smart. And a set and a half, she was smart to do so. I think it's when she didn't step up, and she did this a little bit against Alex Ayala, in Miami. She didn't step up and go through her. She just allowed her to hang. That's why I went 3 sets. I saw the same thing there. And that's her home slam. That's her home mini quote unquote slam in her backyard.
Right. Well, I think that's the difference between Alex Ayala and Boisson, is that ball is harder to attack because you can't really square it up.
And on clay.
Right. Yeah. It's
had Jessica played Ayala on clay, if Miami had been on clay, she'd have met the same result as Boisson did. That's what I'm saying.
Interesting. Okay.
She played her on the exact same way.
Yeah. No, that's true. That's true. And
Jessica still loved it.
Ayala got a little shook towards the back end of that match where Boisson did not, because she had the crowd. Like she kind of rose to the occasion. Like it was a cool thing. It was a cool thing to see. I'm sorry it had to happen to Jessica Pegula.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. Coco's just kind of like making her way through the draw, just being the 2 seed, making her way, doing her thing,
holding up her end of the draw. making sure she's keeping her appointments. You know what I mean, and doing her thing. I'm loving this phase of Coco where she's going through the tournament, doing her thing. I'm really liking how the draws really stacking up for a lot of these players. Coco, obviously, Iga. And now we're getting to the business end of this tournament now, Alvin. I did have you mentioned Andreeva. What did you like about Mira with Kazatkina?
You know,
or was it or to me Kazatkina did not play as well as she has played in times past. To me, I couldn't give it. It was more about how she didn't play than to me about
just
Mira.
yeah. Well, I think just as long as Mira is mentally all there against Kazatkina, right. Like there's nothing that Kazatkina is going to do to really throw Mira off, and that's like one of those things where like as Mira just continues to get stronger and stronger, it's the chances of Daria being able to hurt her get smaller and smaller. Yeah, it's not. She doesn't have any weapons. Like it's just kind of we get to the certain point where it's like, okay, all the girls left are like damn near 6 foot tall. Like you gotta bring it. You gotta be able to go through them. And if you can't go through them, then this is where.
Or you got to be an elite counter punisher like Rebacchina that can take that same ball and deliver it with more interest whenever I'm on.
And Rebacchina can also like snap off a $120 out wide on the first serve too. Like it's like whatever. Like she has that thing too. So
she's a wiry, powerful, skinny chick. I mean, I gotta say, I mean, she can absolutely. She has an arm. I mean, it's crazy to see her. Anyway, I hate giving her credit because she's kind of crazy, but crazy in a weird way, like not in a good way. Murat was crazy, but he was crazy in a good way. I love Murat. She's
working some stuff out. She's working some stuff out. I like when she is like I said this before. I think she's one of the best 3 players in the world, and I like when she's involved. So I want her involved more often. That's all I ask. Yeah. I want her to.
She is certainly she does to the women's game now what Goran Ivanisevic did to the men's game back in the 90s. He was a lightning rod. Everyone knew on his day couldn't touch him. On his day. I mean, just would serve you off the court, rip you off the court. There was no weakness. The only weakness was up here, and and he knew, which made his Wimbledon win so much more fulfilling because you kind of empathize with him.
Yeah.
But to your point, like we're back in a little crazy.
Okay, fair. I'm not gonna call it crazy. You called it crazy, and it's ironic that they partnered up for a little while. How do you feel about Ivanisevic joining the Tsitsipas camp? That news came out earlier this week.
I think he needs more than Goran, but I like it. I like it. I like the fact that he's going after Goran. If anybody can appreciate it, it's Goran. I feel like Tsitsipas needs to go back to a little bit of a drawing board about what his game is now. We're seeing, in my opinion, this is his 2.0 that Tsitsipas and Tsitsi needs to find a new way to win against certain profile of players. He can't just be freewheeling, slapping forehands from the ad court alley, hitting backhands wherever he wants to. He reminds me a lot of how Fed played when Fed first came on the tour, ripping the backhand, hitting forehands, coming forward, just almost bringing more pressure than skill. And I don't mean that in any ways as a downside, but he did a lot of big hitting, coming forward and serve big. And then it wasn't enough. Serve started coming back. He started having to be able to create off the backhand. Mm-hmm. He started being able to have to be solid. He started getting down in the service points and playing uphill more than playing downhill. And I feel like there's some game things, some development things he's going to have to get where everything from tightened up serve, better first strike, high backhand has got to get a little bit better. And he's got to not come flying in like he used to because guys are realizing they can pass it.
Yeah.
Goran, to me, as a big server, understands it. Goran, to me, as a returner, maybe can help him. I'm not sure. 2-hander versus 1-hander, lefty and righty, I don't know. But he can certainly help him calm the demons in here, which I think was a good thing for him. And I really feel like it's not a bad thing. My only question is, how much will he allow Goran to help change? When I saw, and I keep going back to one of the greats, Fed got Lubicic, right?
Yep.
You knew what that was about. He was going to make Fed come over the top of the backhand. And I thought for those 3 or 4 years in there, he did great. When Fed had Anacone. You knew he was going to work on closing that up and getting the net a little more and play the ball, play the return game a little faster. I felt like with this one here, I'm like,
it's like, what are they going to do?
What do you do first?
Right.
What are you going to do? What are you going to do first? And then what are you going to do in general?
Here's another question.
Because this is a 2-year, in my opinion, this is a 18-month to 2-year project right here. And a guy who's trying to get back to 3 in the world.
Right. So my question is then, does it even matter?
It's certainly a good rung of the ladder to grab onto on the way down. It couldn't hurt. It was like Rublev with Safin. It couldn't hurt. How much are you really going to change?
Right. So does Safin help Rublev back to the top 10? Does Goran help Tsitsipas back to the top 10? I say I feel like we've just passed our window. I think it's like you should try.
He needed Goran a year ago.
Right.
You know
yeah.
In my opinion.
Okay,
but again, hey, a great thing to good. And make no mistake. You made this point, and I think it was a great point. The game has changed in that meantime.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I would tell you the same thing about Naomi Osaka and Patrick Mouratoglou. I apologize for butchering his name. What can you change to get her back to winning slams? Right. I'm not sure you can.
Yeah, it is what it
great
is.
Great coach.
It's
good player.
Right.
Can she get back to winning 4 slams? I'm not so certain.
Right.
Not certain at all.
So wrapping up the women's side here. So Coco's playing against Madison Keys. Oh gosh, we're doing this again. I tried to look away today during Keys Baptiste, and like I checked in. It's like, okay, Madison got the first set 6-3, pretty good. All right, it's fine. She's got it settled. And then I was working out and then the match was on, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm watching the match now. Now I'm watching the match, and dear God, that match was like throwing rocks. It was a rock fight, and Chris Everett was calling the match too. Oh God! It was.
Let me tell you what you need when you're watching a Chris Everett Lloyd commentated match. You need the mute button on the remote control. There may not be a more. I'm going to say it, Alvin. There may not be a worse commentator for the women's game than Chris Everett. The only other person I hate as bad is Chris Fowler, but Chris Everett is in her own league. Alvin, she's demeaning. Her insights are...
There's nothing there. There's nothing there.
Zero. And I will say, for as phenomenal as a player as she was, I feel like she goes on these tangents, and I'm like, where are you going with this? And she's more critical of the players than she is helping me, the fan, understand. You give me Martina on one end, Martina will make a comment that I'm like, wow, that's gold.
Yeah.
I have yet to watch a match with Chris and said anything close to, wow, that's insightful. Oh, you can't miss a ball like that. Really? I think we all understand that. We're all tennis players. Can't miss many balls, to be honest with you, Chris. But she makes that comment, and she comes off a little condescending, which makes it to me, and it just so happens to be often against players of color. I'm going to say it. And we're both today, just saying.
Yeah, today I know you've mentioned your distaste or displeasure with disdain of Miss Everett Lloyd's commentary style. It wasn't until today that I found myself, I was like, who's calling this match? This is horrible. Who is this? And I'm like, damn it, it's Chris Everett. There it is. It's Chris Everett. I'm like, what? No, maybe it's Lindsay. I'm like, maybe it's Lindsay. Like, nope, it's Chris Everett. Lindsay got me the other day too.
Lindsay can be critical, but Lindsay's insightful. Lindsay knows a lot of the players. I get some of the take from Lindsay used to coach a girl, by the way, for a good chunk of time.
Oh yeah.
I feel like Lindsay comes at it from like, I am the player's big sister / coach. I'm here to help him. Try to
Fed
get
Cup captain.
I went through that about myself. Got it. Here's what they need to do. Blah blah blah. I feel like she's a little more pointed than Caroline. Caroline's still, everything's rose-colored glasses. I don't want you not to have an opinion. I would just like for your opinion to be a little positive from time to time. And we get that you're Chris Everett. We all do. We know how great you are. Some of your records will never be broken. Get it. Help me, the fan at home. I can be critical of my own. I can be a fan of my own. Help me with something I didn't have before I tuned
Right.
in, and I feel like that's what I don't get when I watch.
So as I'm looking at this whole like brand new Warner Brother Discovery presenting the French Open for the first time, they brought in all these names and voices and faces that people are very familiar with, and then some new ones as well. Venus has been doing some studio work.
Yep.
Chris Eubanks has been doing a lot of court coverage. He's doing a great job.
Banks doing an excellent job.
Big Banks always does a great job. Pecci has been involved. He's doing a good job. I think it's like
Sam Querrey's done a nice job. I gotta say, I know Sam from before. Sam made some insightful points here and there.
Yeah, isn't there call-in matches for as well? And then I know Agassi's coming in for the quarter, semis, and finals. So that will be good. I mean, like, what is the we've had the same people, McEnroe's as well. We've had the same voices, it feels like, for so long. But then even when we start to replace voices, I feel like once you get a certain distance away from the game, away from the modern game, I feel like your insight becomes less and less impactful. Like a
little more dated.
Yeah,
right?
someone like
Pecci,
like he is an active coach. It's Imran Khan who's an active coach, right? So like he has been watching these players, and he's in the game right now. Chris Eubanks is a current player. Sloane Stephens just retired, although she hadn't been great. She's not really saying anything. She's talking. She's not really saying anything.
But
time.
She's there.
First time.
I prefer Chanda to her, but I think Chanda does a great job of giving me some things I hadn't always thought of. She's very insightful on the tennis side of things and helps talk to the viewer as you're a tennis player. You're back at home watching. Here's some you want to watch.
Yeah.
And I always take home at least 2 or 3 points from watching. Even some that as a coach, I'm like, I knew that already. But I'm like, but everybody in the coach like me, Chanda, great point. And I keep I feel like she's dialed in with who her audience is.
I think Sloane could be in that same vein, not to say that because they're 2 women of color, but I think Sloane is personable enough and witty enough that I think now going through this probably for the first time, she realizes how much more probably research and work she's going to have to do. Like she's just now, she hasn't retired, but I think the sun is set, right? So, but 100%. She was on court for Alcaraz versus Shelton, and one of her insights was, "Oh man, they're ripping the ball." And it's like, well, obviously they're ripping the ball. Come on, Sloane, come on. Yes, that's what they do, but tell me something else. You're the one on the court. Like I never got anything of value. But I think that's like a few more reps. I think next time around, she'll know what she needs to do.
Good to see her in the seat, right? Good to see her in the seat for sure. Could do a little more. One of my all-time favorites, and I got to say it, Brad Gilbert. BG, absolute one of my all-time favorites to watch. As far as females, Martina, absolute all-time favorite to watch. Insightful, clear, calm. And you could tell in a player's spiral, she is hoping that the player can get it together. She's not throwing rocks at it, not throwing, and that's kind of my thing. Not to keep throwing dirt on Chris, but I feel like Chris is her condescension comes through as if, are you even good enough to be out there on the court right now? And I feel this a certain way, and I don't know. I wish I didn't, but that's how I feel. There's something she sparks in me that it's a very, I don't want to get too deep into it, but it doesn't speak to me at a pleasant place.
Gotcha.
I will leave it.
Fair. We'll leave it there. What do you think about Keys Gauff? How does that match unfold? I feel like I haven't seen them play before.
Haven't seen them play. I haven't seen them play together. So not on clay. I don't think if I have to, I go through my whole quick coach's rundown, right? Who's a better mover on clay? I got to think Coco's a better mover on clay. Who's got a little bigger serve? I got to give to Madison. Who's got a better forehand? I got to give to Madison. Who has maybe a tiny bit better return? I got to give to Coco, right? This match, and quite frankly, coming out of playing Haley, and Haley can play.
Rock fight. Rock fight. They were deep in the second set, and the average point length or shot length was 3.5 shots.
I'm about to say,
it's like, what are we talking about?
100%.
What are we talking
Haley
about?
Ripped 2 balls, drop shot 3 in a row, and then hit a slice, and you're like, Really? I mean, so if I wouldn't go into that match. I'm just hoping I get Madison 2 good days of practice and get used to that ball. I really feel it's going to be a good match. I would love to see the reigning Australian Open champion kind of get back to form. Ugly or not, Alvin, she's made it all the way. What in the quarters now? Or round 16 now?
Quarterfinals.
We're in the quarters now, and like it or not, she's playing. She's here. So I've got a thing where players aren't playing their best; they can only play better going forward. And players that have played pretty well, almost worried about them. They've almost peaked a little too early in the tournament. I'm not saying that's happened for Coco, but she's played better than Madison. If there was an X factor, I would say Madison has not played her best match yet at Roland Garros, and that bodes well for her going in.
Yeah,
and if Coco coming could be, not saying she has or will, could be a little on the schneid here because she's played better tennis up to this point. Madison can play herself into this tournament in this match and be a huge momentum for her. And the rest of that draw opens up for her, obviously with JPEG gone as well. This could be a big match.
So let me put this question to you then. Under the assumption that both players play their A game, who wins that match?
On hard court, I give it to Madison.
On clay, this match.
On grass court, I give it to Madison. On clay, I give it to Coco.
What does Coco's A game look like?
Game.
What does Coco A? Because I've heard this specific phrase a lot. She's winning without playing her best tennis. And Coco's really good at winning without playing her best tennis. But what is her best tennis?
I think that is Coco's game.
I'm about to say, what does her? Okay, then I always find myself going, okay, well then what does her best tennis look like? Is she dictating with the forehand from the middle of the court? No. What does her best tennis look like?
Coco's game is to match up to yours. She has a mutant ability to take your pace and work you with it. She has a phenomenal backhand. She moves well. She can hit a good forehand if she's moving into it. On certain days, she serves well. When she's feeling it and timing it a certain way. I don't think she's the purest of strikers. I don't think she has a weapon to speak of outside of speed and a decent backhand and a backhand return. All things backhand are pretty good. But I think that also, if Madison were to go out there and roll and then drive and not just drive automatic, I think this match could be a pretty straightforward match in Madison's department if she plays the right way. But those who played it that way. Other players who play the right way, they just know how to. Your girl Penko has played the way. They just know how to play her on that side.
I feel like I think that this matchup could come down to like something as simple as like Coco's first serve percentage. If she's having to hit a lot of second serves, Madison will tee off.
We will tee off,
and that will put Coco on the back foot like that. And then I think that starts to get to her. Like that starts to get to her. She won't be able to get into the match at that point.
Right. Right.
Because
it's a weird match because I feel like Coco being a 2 seed, it's a weird misseeding because
of the ego. It's the ego problem.
It's the ego problem. Right. The ego being what she is. But what is Madison? 7? So she's a 7 seed that won Australia, right? So
yeah.
You're in this weird spot where don't look too much into your own seeding and your own what it is. That's just
I don't think she will. It's going to be something that like one of the McEnroes brings up, and it's going to be something stupid that I don't want to hear. But okay, fair. That's good.
Good tennis though. All these quarter matches.
Yeah, we're settling in. We still have enough star power. We still have enough.
A lot of star.
A lot of Boisson.
With the exception of Boisson.
A little.
Get it in. I know you want to get it in one more time. Get one more dig on JPEG. Go ahead.
I had nothing to say. Okay. I have nothing to say.
You do, but you're not going to say. I appreciate.
I thought she was going to come out of this half. I said it. I did. I believed. I said it out loud. It's on record. You can go back to the last podcast. I said it, and here we are. Egg on my face. I've been let down once again.
Here we are.
Moving over to the men's side. Let's start in the middle actually, because Novak Djokovic is playing against Alexander Zverev. Novak, he's just having a nice hit. Having a nice hit right now.
Also playing himself into the tournament. I mean, I thought he did good.
I thought he wasn't going to play the tournament.
I thought, God bless it. He's had the best draw of all time. Oh my God!
Yeah.
Nori, really? Come on. I mean,
does that mean Zverev's had a pretty good draw too? Like you got another withdrawal against Greek Sport. I thought Greek Sport. I turn it on. He's up 3-0, and I'm like, oh, Talon's here to play. Talon always plays him tough. Played him 5 sets in French Open last year. played him tough in Munich earlier this year. He's always there. He beat him, I think, at another tournament. And then I think he got hurt, whatever. So here we are. Zverev is doing the thing that he does, which is just get to the latter stages of Grand Slams.
Yep.
What say you about this matchup? Last time they played was Australian Open. Tough first set, and then Novak retired. Right. Alex final this event last year. Pushed Carlos to the brink. 5 sets.
Yeah, no comment.
Do you? Okay, let's today's.
I got no comment.
Fair.
I got Father Time versus Excuse Machine on 2 players that I truly enjoy to watch.
You enjoy watching Alexander Zverev play tennis?
I enjoy watching Alex Zverev when he's playing well. I think he is, when I watch him play against an aggressive player, I love the contrast. Do I enjoy watching Alex Zverev, Sasha Zverev play in a match with a guy since the Dominic Thiem match from several years ago's U.S. Open? No, I've not enjoyed watching Alexander Zverev. Do I think that this will be an entertaining match with him and Novak? Yes, I do.
Oh, it's gonna take forever. It's gonna take forever.
And that's why I don't want to say anything, because I don't want to put anything on the old champ. And at the same time, I know your boy's gonna be out there. It'll take him 9 forehands to warm up and take one down.
I have a question. Today is Monday. We're on the eve of the quarterfinals. When we get back together on Sunday to review the men's final.
Yep.
Are we looking at Novak Djokovic having gone through Alexander Zverev, Jannik Sinner, and Carlos Alcaraz in order to win this tournament?
No,
that
absolutely
ain't happening,
not.
Right?
Both
that's
players
not happening, right?
are playing so well.
That's not happening.
And honestly, he's got Zverev to thank for that, because Zverev's going to make him play 4 hours. And one of those 2 guys, whoever wins it, needs to take him out for a steak dinner, because that'll his gain. He will take 4 hours out of Novak's life. He will literally take 4 hours. He is the henchman in the James Bond movies that allows the villain to escape, just because there's so many of them.
I mean,
in James
2020. I sometimes get the year wrong. I think it was 2021 U.S. Open. Novak Djokovic is going for the calendar Grand Slam, right?
Right.
Going for the calendar Grand Slam.
Yep.
Meets Alexander Zverev in the semifinals. They play for 5 hours.
Yep.
And then Novak gets through that match, and then limps in and pretty much hands Medi the U.S. Open title.
For that match. Yeah. I hope Medi bought Zverev a car or something for that match. That was just, hey man, I can't thank you enough.
But here we are again in a very Madison did it at the Australian Open, taking down 3-2 and 1 in the same tournament. But this is 3 out of 5. This is tough. This match, I got no call on it either, to be honest with you. My gut tells me Zverev in 4. I feel like at some point we're gonna run, like you mentioned Father Time. I feel like at some point we're gonna run into the machine can't run anymore. And
yeah. And I'm gonna say right here, you say it's Zverev in 4. I think it's gonna be. I think Novak might win in 4 or 5. But he will be worse for the wear for doing.
Okay, fair.
And that's what I'm saying. And that's my point is, whoever they're going to ding each other up. It's going to be a death of 1,000 cuts in this match. Good tennis. It will be a tough match up for both players because of the physicality of it. But I just feel like, due to both of them's physicality, I feel like Zverev being a little younger, obviously a lot younger, is going to be the difference maker in the match. But Novak is playing decent tennis. I mean, he's dropping, he's sliding, he's moving, he's been.
So Novak. How does he win this? How does he win this match? If he wins this match, what did he do well? What did he do differently? Not differently.
He shortens points.
Yeah. Okay.
He shortens points. He attacks second serves. He attacks the forehand side. He comes to net a little more often. He drops shots early. He does everything that he normally doesn't do. He doesn't let Zverev get into a groove. He doesn't let Zverev get in that rope-a-dope.
Yeah.
He brings it to him, and he hits more step-ups, risks a little more, stretches Zverev out. He does all the things that he probably wouldn't want to do, but he needs to if he wants to play this match through the next 3 matches.
Right. He implemented a good bit of serve and volley today against Cam. Almost like a little like a free practice. Like, okay, let me
100%.
get this out. in match terms here. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Like, he's just going to not let himself get into a drag out, like, baseline, deep behind the baseline, grind it out kind 100%. Of situation with Alexander Zverev.
Otherwise, that alone will hurt him.
Yeah.
In this match.
If he's trying to win the tournament, which I think that's his goal, right? Always. He's trying to win the tournament, then how he gets through this match is important. Not just winning it, how he gets through it is important.
How he gets through it, and how long.
Center, the other side. Center, what the hell, man? This guy.
Dude.
Everyone.
Dude. And he played better in the second than in the first, even though the score wasn't as close. You heard it right here. Center played some ball today, man. My only caveat, did he play a bit too well?
That's an interesting. Okay, let's not make this about Center. Let's go ahead and talk about.
Go back to Rublev.
No. I don't want to talk about that at all. It's not. I don't want to talk about that. Not important. Center is a lot better than everyone else, not named Carlos Alcaraz. And 100%. Doesn't actually play Novak in Grand Slam. So this is going to be we are in an interesting place right now. Well, all the best players are still here. Let's see how this plays out. So I don't want to talk about. I just don't want to talk about Center right now. I want to talk about the other half of that matchup, Alexander Bublik. Okay, so Bublik went God mode for about an hour and a half today. Like, you could take the best hour and a half of tennis that you could play in an entire tournament, and he packed it into 2.5 sets, and it was like it was amazing. It was amazing. Okay, so Bublik is Nick Kyrgios, but introspective and self-aware. Like, there is no shot that Bublik doesn't have. Like, he can go hard, forehand and backhand wing. He can do it. Great hands, right? It's just a little, like you would say, a little bit crazy, right? And will tank, but has before. Yeah, he's no shame about it. But like you've seen him in the UTS dinner interviews that he does with that whole they're having dinner and it's like him and like Dominic Thiem and Goffin or somebody like that, and they're talking like he's so introspective the way he thinks the game. It's all there. It's just not all there when it needs to be there. Right. Sometimes he'll just be like, the hell with it. But he knows it, and that's why I say he is very much so like Kyrgios in that he can do anything on the tennis court.
Agree.
Except for sometimes be a professional tennis player all the time.
I agree with that.
But he knows it. So he can hang and do some weird stuff.
I just have to fight the Nick Kyrgios might be one of the better athletes I've seen to grace the tennis courts in the last few years. And Bublik, to me, is one of the, dare I say, below average athletes, but maybe one of the cleanest ball strikers and hits everything there isn't a shot he didn't have. There isn't a shot he didn't have here. So I have to make that statement because you're putting it with Nick.
Yeah. Okay. So obviously there's some.
But I know exactly what you're saying. Complete ends of the spectrum that comes back around where they touch each other. I'm with
and where he lacks in athleticism, he'll also slap a winner down the line before that even becomes a part of the equation. Right.
He hit some drop shots, Alvin. That you thought were going to be approach shots. Then I'm like, the camera guy got messed up. You're like, oh, wait, where'd it go? You're like, he hit a ball. Your boy ran down a ball. Draper's left-handed. He hit a drop shot. Draper ran it down. Draper is already leaning to the open court. Bublik went behind him in the line in this much space. And I'm like, the fact that he knew he was leaning and threaded the needle, this is what I'm saying. The guy's, he's playing,
a gamer. He is a gamer.
He is playing, people often say, he's playing checkers, the guy's playing chess. He's playing chess with you. It was fun to watch that last couple of sets because he really did play pretty well. And I got to say, Draper's forehand, for whatever reason, was not there today. The depth wasn't there, wasn't heavy enough, and Bublik took advantage. He hit he hit a couple forehands, Alvin, outside the double sideline.
Yeah.
On the ad side. Inside.
He's not playing. He's not going to play that game with Jack. He's not going to play tennis with Jack. Like, he's not going to play tennis with anybody. He's like, I'm gonna do something else and let you figure it out. So my question is, under what circumstances does he unnerve Sinner? Can he unnerve Sinner? Is Sinner so bulletproof?
I just haven't seen anyone else do it. But if anybody could do it,
but there's nobody like Bublik.
But there's not many like
right. Sinner is a better tennis player than everyone, but Bublik's not going to make this about tennis. He's going to make this ugly. Not ugly. He's going to make it not. There will be no groove. They're not going to hit cross court rallies and then craft points. Like Bublik's not going to let himself get into that with Jannik. So can Jannik get himself through an ugly tennis match?
Right. I could see Bublik hitting all slices and moving the guy around. I could see Bublik doing a lot. I could see him playing completely different than he played today.
I could also see him
just because the match required.
I could also see him show up with nothing and get beat 2-2-2.
Right.
In like an hour and 13 minutes. Like it could be.
Again, he played pretty well. And to my point, when I see players play that well, he's having sermons of life. I mean, he's had 2 matches where he's played pretty darn well. And I personally, I think he's kind of shot his wad, but. And I honestly feel like
I lean that way as well.
Sinner is just playing better. He's needed every match up to this point, but he is playing better due to every match up to this point.
Yeah.
So as much as Bublik will try to play foil, I don't see that happening. And I see it being a very. You'd love to see what Bublik tries.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure that it may be enough at the end of the day.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. Bounce into the bottom half of the draw.
Best match, one of the best, most entertaining matches so far. Shelton and Alcaraz was an absolute entertaining match. I loved every bit of it. Thought it was a at least for the fans' sake. I just loved the physicality of it on both sides. I didn't think that Ben was a threat to win it. But I love the fact that he stole the third set. I love the fact that he stole the third and was still fighting and made himself believe, especially on clay, that he can hang and he can play with Carlos. And it just helped me to believe. We talked about this a few episodes back about our American players getting that top 5, right?
Sure.
We talked about it was 5, 6, 7 at one point, right? With Francis and Ben and Tommy, or maybe it's 6, 7, 8, whatever the number was, right? It was in that range where they're all right there together. And I told you, and you made the comment to me, if I'm not mistaken, about so one of these guys, you see them getting to the semi with Alcaraz or with the center, and I remember you mentioned to me because numerically that would have to happen for them to be that high in the world, right? And I remember thinking to myself, and I think I said in the podcast, Ben could do it. Ben could hang. I'm not sure about Taylor. I'm not sure about Tommy. But Ben's got big enough game and I thought he notched one more step closer to showing that he could hang in that top 5 seat with a player like Carlos.
I'm going to take the other side of that one. Not to be a contrarian, but I've heard a lot of similar, commentary about that match, and I was like, "Were you guys watching the same match?" I watched the match, and I was like, from the first 2 games, I'm like, "Oh, Carlos doesn't think he's losing this match." He seemed like he played the entire match in 4th gear. Like I didn't see him loosen up a little bit until the 4th set, like when he got that first break and it's like, okay, I got it now. And then he starts tagging it, going in line with the forehand. But it felt like he was he's like, I'm going to play the same tennis I've been playing every match outside of maybe the center match in the final of Rome, where he's like, I'm just gonna let you mess this up. I'm gonna let my normal rally ball be impactful. And he's just he's playing heavy cross, not really playing outside of himself. Got down in that breaker in the first set, but even when Ben is serving 4-3 up a mini break, I was like, Ben's got to make 3 first serves here, and he's going to win the set. And somehow he's not going to do it. He's not going to do it. It's I feel like this is not going to happen.
But you did get a little more encouraged the later the breaker went.
Yeah, you just have to assume that if somebody's going to win 2 points on their serve and then steal 1 on the other, it's going to be Ben. I trusted that more.
Return side for sure. Return side for sure. Let me. I'll qualify it, but I don't want to take away your point. I don't think Carlos was ever in trouble of losing, And I'm not saying that.
Well, I think it's more important that Carlos never thought he was in trouble of losing. He never thought.
But
It never seemed like
think
Carlos
ever thinks that in general.
Well,
to be fair,
he didn't even look like when Carlos loses. He looks pressured. He looks frustrated. He was playing okay tennis and still had a smile on his face. Like he's like, no, I'm going to be fine. This is going to be fine. There's no way. Okay. There's no way in best of 5 scenario on this court on this surface that I'm going to lose this match. It doesn't matter. I'm going to be fine. That's what he looked like.
This is clay court, not Ben's best surface. The fact that it went 4 to me was a huge kudos to Ben. And the fact that the match and the points were fiercely contested, 3 games, 3 points out of each game, was what I'm looking for. I'm talking about in the attrition of it all. That match now tells a Ben Shelton going into grass. I took a set off him on the clay, my worst surface. Imagine what I can do if I can catch fire on the grass. I have a chance. That's how I'm looking at this. And on hard court, I think I got a chance. I really do. That's what this match said to me. It's not about this match, this tournament. I think Ben was happy he got this far. Let's be very clear. But and had a very solid showing against the number 2 in the world.
So Ben has semifinaled 2 Grand Slams, right? Wimbledon. Australian Open this year.
And caught a strong, great draw and ran into the main in each of those affairs.
So I think what we're starting to see is the Taylor Fritz of it all, right? Let's just say Ben Shelton's going to be the Ben. I still think when it gets to a certain, like even at its best, the limiting factor is, am I going to run into one of these 3 before I get to where I need to go in this tournament? And once I do, it's over. Now you're saying, right? Yeah. Yes. Yes. So you're saying that that's not the case on grass. Looking forward a little bit, like if we run into the same scenario, he runs into Alcaraz. Let's call it quarterfinals of Wimbledon. Alcaraz, back-to-back champ, defending champ, by the way. Right. Right. So you feeling like Ben's feeling good about his. You should always feel good about your chances, right? You should always feel good. But you, as a fan watching, you feel good about his chances.
I feel like the closer he gets each time, the better I feel about it. And what I'm saying is that for him to get a set of him on clay justifies that belief. If he got blitzkrieg 2-2-1, it's like, I know clay's not my service, but I just got whooped out there. I don't think Ben got whooped out there. It's hard to even say 4 sets is routine. He got managed. And to your point, he did a nice job of keeping it close. He held serve. Heck, the break was 10-8, Alvin. I'm just saying it's not like we're not talking that he didn't just get embarrassed out there. He did play some good tennis. He matched drop shots. He matched drop shot for drop shot. He hit the backhand, Alvin. He hit his backhand as clean as I've seen him hit in the whole tournament. Had to. But he hit his shots. I'm just saying. I felt like he didn't go for broke, which I thought he did in that Australia, that U.S. Open that he had a nice run. He had no business of going, winning, hitting that huge forehand off the line, and somehow it cashing in on that big forehand late in the point. That was luck, balls, and a phenomenal shot. Trust me. That was how that run started. So we're now talking about him now being more of a complete player. You just can't wing it like that. You're going to have to actually play that level of tennis all the time. And I felt like today's match put a lot of confidence, wind in his sails, that I can actually hang with one of the best players in the world right now if I do these 3 things. Am I beating him yet? No. Am I getting closer? Yes. And that's all I'm saying. And I feel like on grass, a better suited surface, and hard court, he takes that confidence with him and exponentially does better. Is that 2 sets next time? Maybe. But that's all. And it'll be a year or 2, Taylor Fritz of it all, before he realizes that. But each set gets a little closer.
It reminds me of Fast and Furious 1, where Paul Walker's character, Brian Earl Spillner, gets into a race with Vin Diesel and gets out of it at the
Oh,
end, and he's like,
intro
and
mile.
he's like, he hits the nos. Let's hit a little too early. Vin Diesel goes flying by him at the end. They all get out, and Paul Walker's character's like, I had you. I almost had you. And then Vin Diesel looks at him and goes, you never had me. You never had your car.
Yeah.
It's not close. It's not. The score's close, but I know you know. I hope Ben doesn't think this way, because you should be delusional as a tennis player. But as Ben gets better, don't forget that Carlos also gets better. And therein lies the problem. Therein lies the problem.
Touche.
Yeah.
Touche.
But
Musetti.
Other half of that Carlos match, he's playing against Tommy Paul. How the hell is Tommy Paul still here? I thought he had a broke ab. He plays back to back.
And a repo.
Right, a repo. Got his truck back, and apparently he Wolverined a new ab too, because he goes back to back 5-setters, and then smokes through in a straight set match. I even forget who he played now. But here we are. Tommy Paul's still in the tournament. I thought he died 2 rounds ago. He's here. He's here.
Tommy. Love Tommy Paul.
Do you feel like Tommy has a puncher's chance in this match? No.
I think he's spent, and whatever good drugs and stuff that he's been on, I think that unfortunately it may come to fruition. So, but whatever he's on, bottle it, because
I feel like this is a bad match. This is a worse matchup for Tommy than it is for Ben, because Ben has the weapons to stay close, right?
Yep.
Ben's got that serve. He's always going to be able to stay close. Like, he's not going to lose a set 6-2, right? It'll be 6-4, maybe 7-5, but because he's gonna be able to make up that serve. Tommy doesn't have the same serve to bank on, and then it's on clay. Carlos is gonna.
He's a good mover. He moves well, but Carlos, to me, if I'm Carlos, I couldn't have asked for a better draw.
Yeah, it worked out well
to
for
play
him.
A couple of Americans
working the American corner, just
on clay. I mean, only thing better if he had all 3 of them in a row. And with Musetti Tiafoe, he almost went, right?
Okay, let's not a lot of mustard here on this match. Let's move over to Musetti and Tiafoe. Musetti, I feel like, we just keep beating the same drum. He is raising his floor. His professionalism is raising. He is turning into a week in and week out kind of player, right? So 8 seed,
week in, week out, top 10, and currently having a very nice moment. I will give you one compliment on Musetti.
Love it.
I read something about him, and he said, I am working harder and complaining less.
Woo!
And it seems to be working out. I will do more. And I said, okay, I can get behind
the adult in the room.
He just had that look like it's always something. My strings. The graphite isn't working. The clay. And now I feel like he is not complaining. That's how he looks to me from time to time. And I feel like he's playing. Still feel like he's a little bit full of himself, but that's another talk show. Why would you not be? He's 8 in the world. But I got to tell you, his backhand looked very good today. The other day was when he played Rune. And I was really, really happy to see him manage that match. Came off the ground on several forehands, Alvin, and I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Good racket speed. So, to me, Rune lost this match and lost an opportunity. I don't want to put so much on Musetti. I thought Rune on clay especially moves better. And I thought Rune should have done, he won a second, but I thought Rune should have played a little more aggressive and a little more, he should have played up in the court more and made Musetti beat him with the backhand. And just, Musetti's got a good backhand, don't get me wrong. But no one, save for Stan Wawrinka 15 years ago, is going to go through you with the backhand.
Yeah.
And I felt like he didn't take as many inside outs. He was so busy covering court that he let Musetti dictate play.
Yeah.
And I'm like, come on. Holger,
that's kind of the mercurial Holger Rune, right? Is like what is he good at? Like he's good. He can do it all, but what is he as a tennis player? Like when you see the best version of Holger Rune
he's Coco Gauff in a lot of ways. He does everything well. A little bigger,
fewer holes, no noticeable holes. Just like
but no real game ID. I mean, when I watch him play, I'm like, what do you do? What do you want to do? What's your go-to? What's your
Yeah,
play?
what do you have you
I don't
have
know.
all of the tools. What are
Yep.
what are you trying to build? Are you a painter? Are you a sculptor? What do you like do you take photography? Like what kind of artist are you? What are you doing out here?
He's still figuring it
Yeah.
out,
Okay, well he's young. You can see.
and he's
Yeah.
still young, so
So he can't.
he still can't. But he missed an opportunity
So
there. You're,
Francis Menancis records here
yep.
against Lorenzo Musetti. Is there a world where Francis wins this match? Because he's just like he's working his way through the draw right now. Like he ain't got no problems.
This is a great match. Both of them rely a lot on moxie. I think Tiafoe's played himself back into winning form and is playing some good tennis. Um, Tiafoe believes he can still win and do his thing. Yes, I think there's a world in where Francis wins this match. I really do.
What does he need to do? What does he need to do to win the match?
Just what Holger should have done. Work the forehand to the backhand. Take it at any given time. Shorten some points when necessary.
Yeah.
And make Musetti beat him off the backhand wing, period, with the D in the story. And I feel like he's going to know that matchup better than most. I don't know. I feel like tactically speaking, France has always been solid tactically. He knows what to do.
Yeah.
He may not have the weapons to do it with as much with the higher level top 3 or 4 or 5 guys in the world, but make no mistake, he knows what to do. And that's why I'm going to give Francis the edge in this match because
I see it. If this match is beautiful and both players are running and sliding around and it's a beautiful European clay court match, then it's not going well for Francis then. Yeah.
Right. It's going to go. But the points
if
are short,
ugly,
slapping forehand.
Yeah.
Ugly.
Yeah.
Right.
And then I can see Francis winning this match. Like of the top 8 seeds still remaining, like this is like Francis is not gonna beat Carlos on clay. I don't see that happening. Right. I don't see him being Djokovic. I don't see him being Sinner. I don't really see him beating Zverev. That's a lot. That's a lot.
It's a lot.
Musetti
and his way of beating Zverev goes to Zverev's best shot.
Yeah, it's a lot to handle. That's a lot to handle on clay. Right. But this one feels like I could see it.
It's winnable.
It's winnable. It's winnable. Whether he will or not, I don't know. But it's winnable.
51-49, but it's winnable.
It's winnable.
You know what I mean?
Did we cover all of them? Was that all of them? I think we did.
Sinner.
Yep.
Novak. Yep. Alvin, it's a neat quarter. I mean, let's be honest. It's gonna be a neat quarter. I'm happy that all these guys have gotten as far as they did. Missing in this is obviously Casper and a few others, but that should be here at this point in time. But at the same time, as far as clay courtness and where they are in their careers, but I gotta say, I'm looking forward to it. Sinner looked really good. I hope he didn't play too well. Hope he didn't play too well against Rublev. That's all I'll say.
Well, hell, he played like lights out against Lehechka, and then also played lights out against Rublev. So I feel like this is.
So now you're like, is this?
This is just him.
This is just him. That's what I thought.
It's the weirdest thing. He just beats everybody except Carlos, and Carlos will lose to anybody.
Yeah, you're right. But you know what I felt, and that was early in the year too. I think Carlos has kind of started to catch a stride too. It's going to be a great final should the two of them get there because they both would have really come from different paths to get here. I'm going to say this: Jannik Sinner has the ability to start from almost 15 feet behind the baseline, Alvin, and 3 shots later, he's taking the ball on the rise. It is the most beautiful thing of transition from deep up to front court I've ever seen. And let him get 5 shots in, Alvin. He's running around a forehand on you going behind you to your backhand, and he doesn't mind taking your backhand early off the court with the angle. So it's just somehow he knows with his movement is so good. He can get inside. Once he gets that 3rd, 4th ball in it, he knows it's over. You cannot hurt him.
That's it seems like Carlos is the only one that has been consistently able to hurt him by getting Carlos can handle his ball and then get it out of his strike zone.
And punish him with the line like most people can.
Yeah.
Carlos hurt Ben today a bunch of times on that smack line that I was like, that's just a tough ball to handle.
Yeah.
He just has that. And if he's leaning on it, And going forward with his weight, that forehand line is something serious. He can go angle, he can go drop, and he can go big, but that's forehand line that he's moving to on the way there, on the way to the right, that forehand line's all day. I mean, it is just, and you cannot stop it.
I would, kind of in summation, I would like to. I'm not really paying attention too much. I mean, at this point, we're paying attention to everything because we're down to one court, right?
Sure.
4 matches a day. So the top half of the men's draw is interesting. Obviously, the Novak Zverev match is going to be that will be what it's going to be. I sincerely hope that not because of my personal opinions about him, but I hope Zverev does not win that match because I don't want to see Zverev play center again. I don't want to see that match. It's bad. It's bad. It's bad.
Okay.
I want to see Novak play against center because I think that is Custard's last stand. I think what Novak...
If he's to win one, it's this one, and it's got to go through center.
Well, I think...
Or out,
yeah, let's even put the final off, right? Let's just say that 2 years ago, center became center in the last 3 months of 2023, and he beat Novak twice in that period, right? And then I think he had a shaky match Novak had a shaky match against him in Australia 2024. They met in the semifinals, and Novak was just he was dead tired by that point. He had a crappy morning, and it showed up on the tennis court. It was a very, very bad match. I think the same way that Novak needed to win the Olympics, and he had to go through Carlos to do it, that was I can still do it against this generation. This generation will be the last generation that I face, and I've killed many a generation before this one. And if I had a few more years, I could kill this one too. But at this point now, he's got to put the pin in the center issue. And I think that is the driving force. It's almost more important than winning the actual tournament. He's just got to beat center.
Right.
Just to show people that he can do it.
That's actually well said. I hadn't looked at it with that level of a full scale gravity that you just gave it, but you're absolutely right. That would almost be an unofficial, and I beat center at the top of this game. Before I went out, and you're right, and there's a lot of weight to what you're saying. It won't give him 25, but let's be honest, who's getting 24?
Doesn't matter, right? Yeah,
anytime soon. So that's done. I don't think anybody's going to get 20 anymore, let alone Nadal or Novak. So you're right. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's beating the guy that's going to win it. It's a good point. I hadn't looked at it from that standpoint. Of course, he won't either. But I think the trophy's always we're looking for. But to your point, getting through it makes the Zverev match be that much more pressing for him to be able to do it in the most efficient way possible. Right.
Yeah, to get there. That triumvirate right now of Novak, Carlos, and Jannik. Obviously, center and Carlos are the rivals because of the age, right? And they have their careers ahead of them, and they are 1 and 2 in the world.
1 and 2 in the world. Winners of the last 7 of the last 8 slams. Give or take?
I think all of them.
All of them. Right. I'm trying to think of. I'm saying 7.
Novak won the 2020. No shit. God. Who? 2023 French Open was the last one Novak won.
Right.
Yeah. I don't.
7 8.
Or 2023 U.S. Open. It's 2023 U.S. Open. Anyways, but
8, something like that. My point is, one's got 2, one's got 4. So
they split the last 5 for sure. So it's the Carlos and center have that rivalry. Novak and Carlos have a rivalry. That thing has been. They're the ones that keep running into each other in Grand Slams, right? That's a real thing. But when the chips are down, center's been flying pretty in all these Grand Slams. Right. He's not meeting Carlos. Right. He's not meeting Novak. I mean, he met Carlos in the semifinals of French Open last year, and Carlos beat him. Right. Kind of an ugly match, but he beat him. But besides that, center's just kind of I'll beat up on the Taylor Fritz's and Alexander Zverev's of the world. Now he's going to have to do the hard work. And this is
and face face that former champ on the way, en route, not in the final. No, you're
Yeah.
right. It'll be a good
If
match.
we
Again,
if we get to Friday,
if we get right, if we
yeah.
get there, and if we don't expend all of our gas in the tank in this Zverev match, you know what I mean. So it'll be a fun rest of the week.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Tennis always wins, and tennis is in a healthy spot.
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm excited. It's gonna be a good week. I'm done. I got nothing else. All right, quarterfinal preview done. Everyone enjoy the tennis. Best of 3. We'll catch you on the other side of these fantastic matches. Peace.